Hello everyone, it is your boy back at it again with another video, and this time we're going to be talking about the GSA groups and what they are and what do they do and what goes on in the GSA groups and how it's really bad for your children and how they're manipulating your children, and it's just completely terrible. Let's jump right into the video. So what exactly is a GSA group? So a GSA group stands for Gay Straight Alliance. It is a student-led club that provides a safe, supportive space for the LGBTQ plus students and their allies. It is creating a safe. They focus on. They focus on creating a safe and inclusive environment for LGBTQ plus students and allies, building community and reducing isolation, discussing gender identity and sexual and orientation in a respectful, supportive setting, organizing events and awareness campaigns to improve school climate, protecting students from harassment, and improving overall school well-being. Well, it sounds nice in the beginning, but we can go to what exactly is in the curriculum. So this is from a Saskatchewan GSA group guide, and we can see at the bottom of this guide, throughout your time running a GSA group, sensitive content coming out stories, having unsupported families, mental health struggles, substances use, self-harm, relationship violence, and doing away with yourself may come up and be upsetting for some or all of the students. Always be mindful of the students' well-being and boundaries. You can find some Saskatchewan mental health supports in Appendix A. So when it's concerning these groups, they're showing and discussing, sensitive topics, but it's also in relation with sexual orientation. So they're talking about immoral love in these groups. So what group that you want to show mental health struggles, uh, doing away with yourself stories, violence, self-harm, substance abuse, health struggles, unsupported families, and this and that, all this stuff. On top of that, promoting immoral love and all that stuff. It is just completely insane. So what age groups are in these GSA groups? Are student-initiated, student-ran clubs, which is a lie, within elementary, middle, or high schools. That means the age range is usually between elementary schools to middle schools, which is 11 and 14, high schools, which is 14 to 18. These groups are designed as safe, supportive environments for students of diverse genders and sexualities, plus allies. Community and external LGBTQ plus youth groups connected to GSAs. Some GSAs collaborate with outside youth organizations. These groups are sometimes have broader age ranges, such as 13 to 24-year-olds. Example shows this doesn't mean that school GSAs themselves include 24-year-olds, only that external youth programs sometimes do. So, that being said, they're showing content and have content warnings in these GSA groups, and they're showing this stuff to 11-year-olds and probably even younger in elementary schools. So your grade 4 9-year-old could be looking at substance abuse, self-harm, doing away with yourself, violence, inappropriate discussions around sexuality, and so on and so forth around these very young children that have no business even being around that stuff at this time. Okay, they don't know about this, then they're not going to be around it. So, like, why are you discussing these very inappropriate things with very young children? It just doesn't make sense. So it all sounds like weird and all that stuff, and it does. But in March of 2015, Alberta's progressive conservative government rushed a bill through the legislature in a matter of hours, requiring every school in Alberta to set up a Gay Straight Alliance club at students' request. Politicians promised the public that GSAs were merely be pure support groups, not political clubs that advocate for an ideology, which is a lie. 4 years later, events have disproven the claim that GSAs are harmless social clubs, and a court action to challenge the GSA law that forces teachers and principals to keep secrets from parents sworn advocates from parents and children paint a very different picture. So not only these GSA groups are keeping secrets from parents, which they have no business doing, they're talking. We have a content warning right from the Saskatchewan GSA curriculum that shows what kind of content they're showing. And from a story from a girl that had autism, she quotes, "I had no idea that GSAs were a lot more about transgenderism than supporting gay students and reducing bullying. This vulnerable autistic girl was persuaded by her school's GSA that she was actually a boy and encouraged the use of boy names and male pronouns at school. Adults involved with the GSA told this girl how easy and beneficial it is to simply transition to the opposite gender with puberty blocking drugs." So, and it gets worse. It gets worse. Hormones and eventually surgery. Girls were encouraged to use Packers, a fake man genitalia with the full thing that a girl can wear to appear to be a boy, and binders to flatten their chest. So, first of all, when it says that it's a student-ran organization, but this article says that adults approached this girl with autism and tried to convince her to remove her chest and put on a Packer, okay, because they were manipulating her into believing that she was a boy when she was a perfectly healthy girl. Why would they do this? I have no idea. I have no idea why they would do such a thing to a vulnerable person. Now, we know from multiple videos that predators will exploit vulnerable children. So since she has a autism, she is vulnerable. So these people can do whatever they want to her and feel some sort of gratification by doing so. I guess. I don't know. I don't know the motivation behind it, but I do know it's horrendously bad. Now, this girl's story gets more dark. The girl was taught that her parents were untrustworthy and abusive for not supporting her transition. Her religion was mocked and attacked in GSA meetings. She attempted to do away with herself, but fortunately her father came into the bathroom and was able to untie the restraints, resistance exercise bands around her neck. Later, after leaving the GSA and no longer identifying as a boy, she testified, "Once I came out as a girl, I wasn't popular anymore. Most students didn't want to talk to me anymore. I spent a lot of time alone and even did a group project alone because nobody wanted to sit with me. I was sad and wished I could be invisible." Now, that's just horrendous. A woman or a little girl with autism who attempted to do away with herself needs support and prayer and as much love that she can get her hands on. Okay, and the ultimate love is from God Himself. Okay, now if she feels as that she's by herself and alone, she's not alone. She's not alone, and nobody is alone. Okay, we have a God that is all knowing, all powerful, and knows the hairs on your head. Okay, and He says, like, if I provide for the robin's worms, I will provide for my children as well. So you are well looked after if you have faith in Jesus Christ and believe in Him, and He will see you through these troubling times. So this little girl that was manipulated and twisted and taken advantage of needs prayer and support. Okay, but parents need to be mindful of this stuff and understand what's really going on at these GSA groups. Now, what is they show videos at these GSA groups, but what kind of videos do they show? GSAs provide access for activists to reach and teach other people's children. For example, Maria du Lawu of Olds, Alberta, volunteered to lead a high school GSA, taking her own children ages 5 to 7. Notice 5 to 7-year-olds. Okay, keep that in your head. With her Olds GSA meetings. DeLu has spoken publicly about how a couple of the students were a little weirded out that I was there. Who's this lady? She's not anyone's parents. She's not a teacher. She does not work here. She in fact drove students from a GSA to a queer prom in Calgary and to other GSA clubs in neighboring areas. So she wasn't a teacher, nobody's parents, and the school let this stranger into the education system around other people's children to teach them about GSA. Okay, I personally work with children at the church. I need to provide a vulnerable sector check and a vulnerable sector check and a criminal record check, and give it to the church so I can prove that I can work with children. Now, there's nothing on my vulnerable sector check or my criminal record, so I have nothing there. Okay, to work with children at the church, I need paperwork from the RCMP, from the police station, to work with children. What paperwork does this Maria DeLu have to be able to go into the public school system and to teach children? But it gets worse. She showed the kids. Notice her kids are 5 and 7-year-olds. The Rocky Horror Picture, a movie featuring sex, cannibalism, and drug use, as well as the Brokeback Mountain, which includes 11 sexual scenes and one scene with extreme violence. DeLu says that the GSA students like to come to her at her home because I let them say the F word and the teachers do not. But I haven't met a lot of their parents. So this secret individual is going into the public education system around other people's children, showing them the Rocky Horror Picture and Brokeback Mountain. And on top of all that, she's letting these children into her home and letting them use the F word and all that stuff. Now, I don't know what's going on at her home. It could be anything underneath the sun. But the problem is that this person, without any paperwork, without going to the RCMP with a vulnerable sector check and a criminal record check, is going into the public education system, teaching them and showing them inappropriate things. So it's not just, supporting students. It's a transitioning club where they teach you how to transition and to recruit other LGBTQ members. Now you might say, well, what's wrong with LGBTQ? Well, let's get into that. Actually, hold on. I got more stuff to show you. This is from the Saskatchewan Curriculum website where they go and show you like the curriculum of what they're going to do for the year. Okay, so for grade 7 and plus grade 7 plus, we can show them the Toronto bathhouse raids, 1981, Operation Soap, the police raids that targeted Toronto's queer community, and the 1980s. Either instead of or along with the bathhouse raids videos, begin watching the documentary of the Canadian military LGBTQ plus purge of the Cold War called The Fruit Machine. The Fruit Machine, it also has a content warning. This is a heavy documentary, but it is important for people to understand Canadian history. We are encouraged to watch it full before showing your students. From time code 39 to 41, there is a discussion of sexual assault. So there's more content warnings at these GSA groups with young children. So this is the type of stuff that they're showing your children at these GSA groups. So we go and it gets worse at the GSA groups. Some of the most passionate phone calls we've gotten over the years have been from parents whose children have been molested physically or psychologically by homosexual adults to whom the children were led by their school without the parents' knowledge. Several of these parents became mass resistant activists to help protest others. This mass resistant mother from Cape Cod testified in 2016 before the Massachusetts legislature, detailing how her son's high school steered him into an outside LGBT group without her knowledge. Homosexual adults there persuaded him that he was actually gay. He continues to lead a homosexual lifestyle. She will be telling her full story in the Mass Resistance article. So, notice how these adults are in these groups that we don't know who they are. They don't have any paperwork. We don't know if they went to the RCMP with a vulnerable sector check and a criminal record check. We don't know if they have them on file. With all this secret stuff going behind parents' backs, it is the best bet for your children to stay away from the GSA groups because we don't know what's going on. Okay? They're being converted from a healthy baby girl or baby boy to either LGBTQ member, removing their healthy body parts because they have been manipulated into thinking that there's something else. When you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and to love how God made you. You are perfect just the way you are. Okay? You don't need to be manipulated into thinking that you're something else when you're not. Okay? So, the people need to be knowledgeable about these types of groups. And this just can't stand at all. And just in case you don't believe me that I'm making this up, LGBTQ teachers and other adult activists in the schools, hardcore LGBT activists who work in the school often become the advisors of the GSA clubs. Note the recent arrest of Scott McGinley, a middle school librarian and GSA coordinator in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. McGinney, every other Thursday, 3 to 3:45 p.m. in the library. First meeting will be held on Thursday, September 21st. McGinley was arrested for child porn distribution. This is confirmed in an FBI report. And that's only one activist. He had CP and was distributing it. And then he was leading a GSA group, coordinator of a GSA group. And your children are going to that GSA group. Now, that's some hard stuff. Now, there's a law in Canada that says change a person's sexual orientation to heterosexual, change a person's gender identity to cisgender. So, from being like changing your identity from this is before getting conversion therapy, and it's a law in Canada, okay, that I cannot go to a LGBTQ member and tell them that they're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. Now, this is called a double standard. You know why? Because in a GSA group, an adult can go up to a little girl or a little boy and tell them that, hey, you are actually gay, and you are actually, a boy or a girl, and you should start transitioning. As in that not conversion therapy? Is not GSA groups conversion therapy, where you go to a GSA group and you convert them from a healthy girl or a boy to a transgender? Is that not conversion therapy? Now, as a Christian man, I can't go and say that stuff. But on the opposite, an LGBTQ can. So I'm being discriminated against as of right now because I want to tell children to love yourself, look yourself in the mirror, and to love yourself. How God made you. But in the Canadian government, I can't do that. And we can look at the laws. Okay? I already said two of them, but I'm going to say them again. Change a person's sexual orientation to heterosexual. Change a person's gender identity to cisgender. So converting back to what you were. Change a person's gender expression so that it conforms to the sex assigned to the person at birth. Repress or reduce non-heterosexual attraction or sexual behavior. Repress a person's non-cisgender gender identity, or repress or reduce person's gender expression that does not conform to the sex assigned to the person at birth. For greater certainty, this definition does not include a practice, treatment, or service that relates to the exploration or development of an integrated personal identity, such as a practice, treatment, or service that relates to a person's gender transition and that is not based on an assumption that a particular sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression is to be preferred over another. You want to talk about being discriminated against? My rights are being stripped from me because I can't talk about certain things. But do you know why this is so bad? This is Canadian law right here. So we have to go into why this is really, really bad. Okay, and I have to find it. Now just hold on 1 second, son. Hold on. Here we go. Key statistics in Canada and the US. Canadian statistics from 2024, 25% of the LGBTQ youth ages 15 to 24 reported doing away with themselves thoughts in the past year. Only 5% of cisgender heterosexual youth reported the same. 25% of the LGBTQ plus youth met criteria for major depression versus only 11% of the LGBTQ youth. Now, 11% of non-LGBTQ youth having depression is really bad. 27% having depression is very bad. Now, the U.S. LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to attempt to do away with themselves than straight peers. 39% of the LGBT youth seriously considered doing away with themselves in the past year. About 1.8 million LGBT youth between the ages of 13 to 24 seriously considered doing away with themselves. Now, and we go to the bottom. Transgender and non-binary youth are 2 to 2.5 more likely to consider or attempt doing away with themselves than cisgender youth. Now, this is hard stuff. So not only am I not allowed to try to say, you're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, like my Bible says, but at these GSA groups, these groups are promoting LGBTQ ideology. And from these LGBTQ ideologies, they're developing depression. They're developing doing away with themselves thoughts. They're developing anxiety and mental disabilities. And to the point where they're doing surgeries on themselves because they don't know what's going on in their head and in their heart. And the simple solution would be to say, you're already perfect. And it's true. Okay? You being born how you are, like exactly who you are, how you were made, is a 1 in 17 trillion chance of you being born just the way you are. That means you are a miracle from God that knows you exactly how you are. Okay? And nobody should be going over and telling you that you're something different when that you're already a miracle. Okay? That's just crazy. And my government is oppressing me. Okay? Now I have more. I'm all fired up. I'm all fired up. Is this what I'm? Okay. Even when LGBT youth have GSA groups, therapy, supportive adults, affirming environments, they're doing away with themselves. Risk is still higher because of the years of trauma they experienced before the support group. Come on now. Support lowers the risk, but it can't erase the past. This is the same pattern we've seen with abused children, war veterans, survivors of violence, people with chronic trauma. Support house, it doesn't magically resist the brain. You know what really helps? Christian ethics. Christian ethics reduce doing away with yourself when they reflect Jesus, not when they reflect culture war. If Christians embody mercy, truth, patience, presence, compassion, humility, LGBT youth do better. If Christians embody disgust, rejection, shame, fear, superiority, hostility, LGBTQ does worse. So obviously, if you're a normal Christian that embodies love, truth, and presence, compassion, humility, just like Jesus did, you're helping the LGBTQ people. But because I am a Christian man, I can't do that because I really don't know. And now we have one Bible verse. One Bible verse. This is how amazing the Bible is. Are you ready? Psalms 139:14. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelously are your works, and that my soul knows very well. Let me put this in perspective. If you are confused with how you are and you don't know what you're doing, look yourself in the mirror and recite Psalms 139 verse 14. Okay? Because that's how it is, and that is simply the truth. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new. Peace out, players.